Sixto Escobar, famously nicknamed El Gallito de Isabela, the Little Rooster of Isabela, remains one of Puerto Rico's most celebrated athletes, remembered as the island's first world boxing champion. Though his professional career spanned only a handful of years in the 1930s, his legacy has endured for nearly a century. By September 3, 2025, Escobar's net worth is difficult to quantify in the traditional modern sense, since he passed away in 1979, long before boxing entered its modern financial boom era. Adjusted for inflation and relative earnings, Escobar's career purses were modest compared to today's champions. In his time, his fight purses range from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands for major bouts. Today, his estate, managed by his family and historical foundations in Puerto Rico, will be valued at approximately $3 million when accounting for his fight earnings, investments, memorabilia, licensing of his name, and cultural honors. Escobar's real wealth lies not in monetary assets, but in the priceless cultural pride he gifted Puerto Rico. His achievements opened doors for future Puerto Rican champions such as Wilfredo Gomez, Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, and Amanda Serrano. His face has appeared on stamps, coins, and murals, ensuring his name remains immortal in Puerto Rican identity. Early life. Sixto Escobar Vargas was born on March 23, 1913, in Puerto Las Marias, Santurce, San Juan, Puerto Rico. He was one of 6 children born into a working-class family. His father, Santiago Escobar, worked modest jobs to sustain the household, while his mother, Rosa Vargas, managed the family and instilled in her children the values of discipline and resilience. When Sixto was still a child, the family moved to Isabela, a coastal town on the northwestern side of Puerto Rico. It was here that he developed his identity and later became known as El Gallito de Isabela. His siblings described him as an energetic, competitive boy who loved sports and had a natural fighting spirit. Escobar's education followed the typical pattern for working-class children of the era. He attended local schools, but left formal education early to help provide for his family. He never pursued college, and instead gravitated toward physical labor and athletics. His limited formal education did not hinder his ability to inspire. Rather, his humble beginnings became part of his legend. At the age of 12, he discovered boxing after watching local matches and began training on makeshift equipment. By 15, he was competing in amateur bouts. His style combined speed, agility, and sharp counterpunching, which quickly made him stand out in Puerto Rican boxing circles. Personal life. Sixto Escobar lived a personal life grounded in family, community, and Catholic values. He married Josefina Fina Escobar in his mid-20s, and together they had 3 children. Escobar was known to be a loving but disciplined father, instilling in his children the same values of hard work and humility that had defined his own life. Religion played a central role in Escobar's life. Like many Puerto Ricans of his generation, he was raised in the Roman Catholic Church and carried a strong sense of spirituality throughout his career and later years. Before major fights, Escobar was often seen making the sign of the cross and attributing victories to God. Outside the ring, Escobar engaged in various small business ventures, including managing local gyms and supporting youth boxing. He was deeply invested in giving back to Isabela and Puerto Rico, believing that sports could lift young men away from poverty. Escobar's other works also included brief stints in public service. He was celebrated as a national hero, often invited to civic events, parades, and community gatherings. While he never entered politics formally, his name carried immense influence in Puerto Rico. Professional career. Sixto Escobar's professional boxing career began in the early 1930s when he traveled to Venezuela to seek greater opportunities. His career skyrocketed quickly due to his unique style. Fast combinations, impressive footwork, and a relentless fighting spirit. Rise to fame. In 1934, Escobar made his professional debut in Venezuela, where he amassed an impressive record and drew international attention. By 1935, he was fighting in the United States, particularly in New York, which had a vibrant boxing scene. World Championship glory. Escobar's defining moment came on June 26, 1934, when he defeated Eugene Huot in Paris, France. This win propelled him into the global spotlight. But the pinnacle was achieved in 1935 when he fought young Martin for the vacant National Boxing Association, NBA, Bantamweight title. Escobar won the fight in a dominant performance, becoming the first Puerto Rican to ever win a World Boxing Championship. Career highlights: defeated top contenders like Lou Salica, Harry Jeffra, and Bobby Lytham. Successfully defended his Bantamweight title multiple times throughout the mid to late 1930s. His fights were not only athletic contests, but also cultural events for Puerto Ricans, who gather by radios to listen to broadcasts. Retirement. Escobar's career was relatively short, lasting from 1934 to 1940. His record stood at 66 fights, 43 wins, 19 by knockout, 22 Aussies, and 1 draw. Though not undefeated, Escobar's place in history was secure as a trailblazer. After retiring, he returned to Puerto Rico, where he became a symbol of national pride. House tour and car collection. Sixto Escobar lived humbly, reflecting his era and values. His primary residence was in Isabela, Puerto Rico, a modest but welcoming family home. The house was simple, single-story, built with traditional Puerto Rican architecture, and filled with memorabilia from his boxing career. Inside were framed newspaper articles, championship belts, and photos from his legendary bouts. Today, Escobar's legacy home has been partially restored and serves as a historic site for fans and historians. In terms of cars, Escobar was not a flamboyant collector like modern athletes. He owned a few vehicles throughout his life, including a 1930s Ford Model A and later a Chevrolet sedan. His cars were symbols of achievement for someone who had grown up in poverty, but he never flaunted wealth. Escobar's real mansion is the Coliseo Sixto Escobar, a stadium in San Juan named in his honor. Built in 1935, it became a landmark of Puerto Rican sports culture and remains one of his greatest legacies. Unlike many modern athletes, Sixto Escobar never attended college. His career path bypassed higher education altogether due to economic necessity. In early 20th century Puerto Rico, opportunities for working-class children to attend college were limited. Instead, Escobar's education came in the boxing gym. He trained under experienced coaches in Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and the U.S., developing his craft through discipline and constant competition. His lack of college credentials never diminished his stature. If anything, it amplified his image as a self-made champion who rose from humble beginnings. Cause of death. Sixto Escobar passed away on November 17, 1979, at the age of 66. His cause of death was natural health complications, widely attributed to diabetes and other age-related conditions. In his later years, Escobar had struggled with declining health, but he remained active in community events until his final days. His funeral in Puerto Rico was a monumental event. Thousands of Puerto Ricans attended, and tributes poured in from across the sporting world. He was laid to rest in Isabela Municipal Cemetery, and his grave has since become a site of homage for boxing fans and historians. As of September 3, 2025, the name Sixto Escobar stands not just as a boxing champion, but as a national symbol of Puerto Rican pride. He broke barriers as the first Puerto Rican world champion, inspiring countless future generations. His net worth in monetary terms is modest compared to today's champions, but his cultural worth is immeasurable. From humble beginnings in Santurce and Isabela to global boxing glory, Escobar's life story embodies the power of resilience, talent, and determination. Even decades after his death, his legacy continues to thrive through the Coliseo Sixto Escobar, educational programs, documentaries, and the many Puerto Rican fighters who walk in his footsteps. His story is not merely about boxing. It is about the rise of a people, the pride of an island, and the eternal impact of a young fighter who became a legend.